Welcome to another edition of the Backyard Professor videos. I'm Kerry Schertz, the Backyard Professor. I'm out here in my backyard just thoroughly enjoying myself. Got a interesting selection to read to you from Matt Roper, one of my favorite LDS scholars because he is so solid. He's always been careful in his research, and he always gives the broad rational context. That's what I love about Matt, is he's just so solid. I've never been disappointed reading anything from Matt Roper. The nice thing is this stuff is free on the internet. You know, there's no excuse for ignorance on this. It's all free on the farm's website, man. I buy the books, of course, to support my fellow LDS scholars in their endeavors to keep farms going, of course, and fair. But you critics have to understand, we have thousands of LDS scholars who are looking into things all the time. We're not living in a vacuum here, man. So I have an interesting response by Matt Roper of a criticism that I've seen bandied about on the internet from time to time, and it's had some pretty heavy discussions. So I want to share with you the context of this situation that the critics are leaving out. And I think that's fascinating. If you critics have to misconstrue the context in order to get an argument against the Book of Mormon, you're bankrupt. I promise you, we LDS scholars will find how you are cheating with the context. You're not going to get away with it. I promise. You better just deal with the fullest amount of evidence we have and see if you can refute it that way. Because if you are cheating with the context, and so many do, we will discover that. And trust me, as the Backyard Professor, I will expose that in my videos as I have time. I promise. I'm here to share the further light and knowledge and rational context. This is out of the Farms Review. This is volume 17, number 2 for 2005. Matt Roper is discussing, this is on pages 134, 135, 136. This is in his review of Cowdery, Davis, and Vanek on the Spalding Enigma. It is a huge review. He goes on for well over 100 pages showing the problems involved, and they are absolutely legion on the mythical manuscript found by Matt Roper. This is a review of Wayne L. Cowdery, Howard A. Davis, and Arthur Vanek, who really wrote the Book of Mormon, the Spalding Enigma. It was published in 2005. Within just a short time after they were published, Roper had tore them completely apart in about a 150-page review. The aspect of the Book of Mormon witnesses that I want to share with you from Roper is this idea of the eye of faith, seeing the golden plates with spiritual eyes. The critics have taken this out of context from what the three witnesses themselves described what they meant. And the critics have made it appear that this is just a spiritual vision. It has no physical basis of reality. Therefore, the witnesses are untrustworthy. That's the basis of their criticism. And the critics are wrong. I'll be happy to share the context with you. It's like I've told the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. It's okay to read the critics. I read them periodically as I can, as I have time. But I never accept their conclusions, because their conclusions are deliberately tailored for a specific view, and they will only bring in the evidences to reach those conclusions, and they will exclude everything else. Matt Roper's caught them with their pants down, and he is spanking them with a huge stick. Let's hear what the three witnesses themselves describe. Now, they were there. The critics aren't. The critics weren't. If you misconstrue or ignore everything the witnesses said, then you can make your case. But it's building on the sand. The 8 witnesses to the Book of Mormon both, and this is history. This is in the historical record. This has been published several times. So there's no getting around this. There just isn't. The 8 witnesses, this is on page 134 of Roper, claim to have both seen and hefted the plates. It is difficult to characterize their testimony as anything other than physical in nature. Now these are the 8 witnesses, okay? We have 8 witnesses who hefted the plates. That's the end of the discussion. As far as I'm concerned, the plates were real. We have 8 other people besides the standard 3 witnesses. But it's what the 3 witnesses say that I want to get to on this spiritual eyes idea. While the 3 witnesses saw the angel and the plates in vision, it is misleading to imply that they did not claim that what they saw was real. Quite the contrary. For the witnesses, at least, the plates were no less real than the resurrected Jesus was to his disciples. One may choose to believe or not believe such a testimony, but to mischaracterize the nature of what they claimed, that's bad history. That's what the critics are giving us, is bad history. On this, the reader will want to consider Richard Lloyd Anderson's important recent discussion on this issue, where he told in the Journal of Book of Mormon Studies 2005, this is also free online. His article is Attempts to Redefine the Experience of the 8 Witnesses. And those attempts to redefine their physical experience with the plates, those have flopped. Richard Lloyd Anderson exposes that problem. You need to read that account. One key question that is almost never asked by critics is what terms, such as the eye of faith and spiritual eyes, what do these terms mean to the witnesses themselves? How did they describe this? This is what's important. The term eye of faith cannot be accurately understood unless one is familiar with the scriptural context behind its usage. Now this is interesting what Roper does here. He shows the scriptural basis of the eyes of faith that is always grounded in physical reality. Very interesting. The 3 witnesses of the Book of Mormon were familiar with the scriptures, of course, in which the language is found, and when they felt that they had been misunderstood, they gave additional clarification. This additional clarification is what the critics against the witnesses never get to. This is the context they leave out. None of this is discussed in the Spalding Enigma. What is meant by having an eye of faith? When the Lord gives a promise, those who believe in His words, those with faith, look forward to their eventual and actual realization, even though the promises are not fulfilled at first. In one Book of Mormon, Alma asks, "Do ye exercise faith in the redemption of Him who created you? Do you look forward with an eye of faith and view this mortal body raised in immortality and this corruption raised in incorruption, to stand before God to be judged according to the deeds which have been done in the mortal body?" That's Alma 5:15. So here we have the Lord's promise of a resurrection from the just and the unjust, and a subsequent righteous judgment from God for our deeds, and of course rewards for both good and bad things according to His promises. Even though we will not experience the resurrection until later, we believe now that we actually will one day. In light of that belief, we live our lives in a way that is consistent with the expectation, looking forward to the time when, through Christ, we are truly resurrected. Sure. In another passage from the Book of Mormon, we see again the same pattern. And there were many, Moroni says, whose faith was so exceedingly strong, even before Christ came, who could not be kept from within the veil, but truly saw with their eyes the things which they had beheld with an eye of faith